You will be learning about the 3 types of rock. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to review how heat, pressure, and time affect the earth. You should also be able to identify the 3 types of rocks and explain what sediments are. Previously, you learned that heat, pressure, and time affect volcanoes, geysers, and various layers of the earth. You learned that heat makes magma very hot, pressure forces magma to move and causes volcanoes to erupt, and it takes a very long time for magma to reach the surface of the earth. Today you're going to learn that all rocks can be sorted into 3 categories because of how they are formed by heat, pressure, and time. But I'm going to need your help during this read aloud. Whenever you hear me say the word igneous rocks, I need you to hold up your pointer finger or your index finger like it is a candle and pretend to blow out the flame to demonstrate the heat of fire. Whenever you hear me say sedimentary rocks, you should place one hand flattened on top of the other to demonstrate that they are layers. To show me that you hear the word metamorphic rocks, hold up both hands, clasp them tightly together like you are making a fist to demonstrate pressure. During this read aloud, you are listening very carefully to learn about the 3 types of rocks and how they are formed. This is our friend Jerry the geologist. The right amount of heat can turn a solid rock or metal into a liquid. What is the difference between solid rock and liquid rock? Solid rock does not change shape. Liquid rock takes on the shape of its surroundings. Pressure from the weight of the earth and movement of materials inside the earth can crush rocks. Over time, the effects of heat and pressure create the rock formations and other geologic phenomena that we find in the world. Working together, heat, pressure, and time create the 3 types of rocks that exist in the world. Every rock in the world can be placed into one of the 3 categories. The 3 rock types are igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Try saying each of these rock types out loud. Igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. What are the 3 types of rocks? Igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. The first rock type, igneous, is the most common. Remember, whenever you hear igneous rock, hold up your finger like a candle and pretend to blow out the flame. Igneous rock comes in many forms. Some form entire mountains, and some appear as boulders jutting from the earth. This picture shows a close-up of one type of igneous rock. This plain old gray rock contains different types of minerals, and it hasn't always been a plain old gray rock. The word igneous comes from the Latin word for fire, because igneous rocks begin deep down in the heat of the earth's mantle. The word igneous sounds similar to the word ignite, which means to light something on fire. Both come from ignis, the Latin word for fire. Making connections between words and root words will help you learn more words, just like it does when you learn in skills. As you have heard, the Earth's mantle is full of a hot, gooey, oozing substance known as magma or melted rock. The magma is constantly being forced forward toward the surface by pressure from within the Earth. As it travels upward from the mantle through the crust, the magma begins to cool and harden. Sometimes the magma will erupt from a volcano, but sometimes the conditions aren't quite right for an eruption. Over time, heat forms magma, and pressure moves the magma. When magma cools, it forms igneous rock. This formation is called Half Dome, and it is located in Yosemite National Park in California. When you look at Half Dome, you are looking at an old magma chamber. A magma chamber is a pocket or place in the Earth's crust where magma collects. As more magma enters the chamber, it gets hotter and pressure builds, and the magma can force its way up to the surface in the form of a volcano. Or, sometimes, as in the case of Half Dome, the magma just gathers in the chamber and stays there without erupting. For whatever geologic reason, the heat and pressure did not get great enough or strong enough to force the magma through the crust and onto the surface in the form of lava. Instead, the magma cooled and hardened within the chamber. Over time, the rocks and soil around the chamber eroded away, leaving beautiful Half Dome alone, sticking high up above the earth. Half Dome is certainly a big igneous rock. Did you hear igneous rock? Blow out that fire! Another type of igneous formation occurs when magma intrudes or pushes itself between two existing layers of rock. This means that not all the layers in the mountain were formed one on top of the other. Rather, some of the layers forced their way in between other rocks. This is obsidian. It is Jerry the geologist's favorite type of igneous rock, and it is better known as volcanic glass. Volcanic glass forms when certain types of lava cool and harden, becoming smooth, shiny, and glass-like. Only certain types of lava under certain conditions become volcanic glass. Characteristics of volcanic glass are smooth, shiny, and glass-like. This is an obsidian spearhead. Some Native Americans used volcanic glass to make arrowheads or spearheads. If you break a piece of volcanic glass, you will find that it is incredibly sharp and strong. Every now and then, I find ancient artifacts or objects made by people long ago, like this when I am out rock hunting. Which types of rocks have you heard about so far? Igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, or metamorphic rock? That's right, igneous rock. After igneous, the second major rock type is sedimentary. Remember, whenever you hear the word sedimentary rocks, place one hand flat down and place the other hand flat on top of it, like you are making layers. Sedimentary rocks are not formed like igneous rocks, which form from cooled magma. In fact, heat does not play much of a role at all in the formation of sedimentary rocks. Instead, pressure and time are the most important factors in the formation of sedimentary rocks. Of heat, pressure, and time, which two are the most important in forming sedimentary rocks? You'd be right if you said pressure and time. The word sediments refers to tiny little particles such as dirt or rock, which are carried along in water, ice, wind, or landslides. Do you hear the words sediment and sedimentary? If you dump a spoonful of sand into a glass of water, for instance, you will see the sand gradually sink down and settle on the bottom of the glass, much in the same way that sediments settle on the bottoms of lakes and oceans. Or, just like if you were pouring Nestle Quick chocolate syrup into a glass of milk, it settles at the bottom first. Here, sink means to drop below the surface of the water. Sediments are always floating around in lakes, oceans, and rivers. Over time, sediments in lake water settle and form a thick sludge on the bottom of a lake. As more and more sediments settle on the bottom, more and more weight presses down on the sludge. Over time, the pressure from the weight of the upper sediments can cause the sludge to harden into rock. So pressure is making that sludge harden, and as it gets harder, it starts to form that rock. Through time and pressure, layers of sediments are turned into sedimentary rock. So how are sedimentary rocks formed? Time and pressure turn layers of sediment into sedimentary rock. This is a picture of coal. Coal is a type of sedimentary rock that comes from decayed plants that have been under pressure for many years. Decayed plants are plants that have died and their remains have naturally broken down over time and gone back into the soil. Coal is an important energy source. People burn coal in order to create electricity for homes and to make energy to power machines and factories. People get coal and other important rocks, minerals, and metals by mining them from the earth. One way to mine coal is by digging a mine shaft or tunnel deep down into the earth. Another sedimentary rock is called iron ore. Ore is a rock that contains valuable minerals or metals. There are many different types of ore in the world, but iron ore is one of the most important. Iron ore is the source of iron, a strong metal which is used to make steel. Steel, in turn, is used to build bridges, cars, buildings, tools, and other things you see and use every day. Sandstone is one common type of sedimentary rock. Did you hear sedimentary rock? Make layers of sediments with your hands. Whenever you find sandstone, there's a good chance you are walking in a place that used to be completely underwater. At one time or another, every place on earth has been completely submerged or covered with water. Thus, sandstone is quite common throughout the world. This photo was taken in Bryce Canyon in the state of Utah, which is known for its unique sandstone formations. This is Antelope Canyon, which is pretty amazing. It is known as a slot canyon, which is formed over many, many years as water from rain and floods rushed through the sandstone, causing it to erode, leaving these unique little channels. These cliffs are made of limestone, another type of sedimentary rock. Limestone is interesting because it is composed mainly of minerals left over from ancient sea creatures like clams, oysters, and other shellfish. When these creatures died, their shells sank down to the ocean floor and settled with the other sediments. Over time, the churning oceans ground the shells into a fine white powder. The powder settled and more shells and sediments put pressure on it. It took many, many years, but eventually all the powdery shell leftovers were compressed into limestone. Did you hear the words pressure and time? With pressure and a long, long period of time, the shells of sea creatures turned into sedimentary rock. Which two types of rocks have you learned about so far? Hint, hint, one of them is formed by cooled magma and the other is made of sediments. Awesome! It's igneous and sedimentary rocks. If limestone is subjected to intense pressure for even a longer period of time, it can turn into another kind of rock called marble. Marble is very hard and it often has beautiful pure white color. People have used marble for thousands of years to make fine buildings and sculptures. Marble is known as a metamorphic rock, which is the third and least common type of rock. Remember, whenever you hear metamorphic rock, hold up both hands and clasp them tightly together. Metamorphic comes from the Greek word for transformation or change. Metamorphic rocks are formed when other types of rocks undergo intense heat and pressure and change or metamorphose into new kinds of rocks. What's the third type of rock? Metamorphic. Congratulations! You are becoming a geologist. Now you know about the three types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Won't everyone be impressed when you tell them about the new words you have learned? Let's pause for a second. Are heat, pressure, and time important in the formation of all three types of rocks? No. Heat, pressure, and time are important to the formation of igneous rock, and metamorphic rock. But only pressure and time are important in the formation of sedimentary rock. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning about your rocks, and I will see you again tomorrow to learn about our next part